Welcome, brothers and sisters. My name is Will Keller. Welcome to the F.U.N.L conference. My website is naturalfreedomleague.com. Thank you for your time and attention. My presentation today is the state of freedom, what it is and is not. So the freedom, I think a lot of people think they know what freedom is, but I'm doing this presentation for everyone because unfortunately the majority of people in the world do not have a correct understanding of what freedom is and how to achieve it. So I'm doing this presentation in hopes that people will share this with anybody that's not familiar with this information that I'm going to be sharing today. And some people, in the conference, they might be familiar with this, but I'm going to simplify the profound, make this presentation, the information, as easy as possible to digest. So let's call it what it is. The more accurate our definitions for words or concepts are, the better our clarity of meaning, and therefore our understanding of those words or concepts will be. I will not use euphemisms to sugarcoat words or statements. The obfuscation of words or concepts is common in modern culture and is a direct attempt to confuse, misdirect, and limit information, resulting in lack of understanding, which is ignorance. Communication is important, but comprehension is key. In name only, the majority of people in the world believe they know what freedom is. We can see people in the thousands banding together in the name of freedom all over the world, confident, proud, and optimistic that they are creating real change in the world. Unfortunately, this is not the case, not correct. The majority of people in the world do not understand what true freedom is and how to achieve it. This information will challenge what you believe to be true and, in fact, cause an emotional reaction with justification. I ask you to listen to this information and then contemplate on it with logic and reason. Then apply the information to yourself. Be honest with yourself. And there are a lot of people that think they know what freedom is. We can see the protests all over the world, the Canadian trucker convoys. And, I observed some of those videos, and, a lot of people think they are creating change. They think they know what freedom is. They think they're winning in a sense. But as we proceed in this presentation, we're going to see that it's definitely it's misguided. So people say they want freedom. They want change. There are requirements for change. Human beings say that they want certain conditions to be present for both themselves and their species as a whole, such as happiness, health, peace, freedom, prosperity, etc. However, specific requirements exist in order for human beings to obtain those conditions. If the requirements for obtaining those conditions are not met, those conditions do not just manifest automatically by magical means. Awareness reveals choice. You cannot solve any problem from the same level of consciousness that created the problem. Higher awareness is necessary to see the forest from the tree. We must increase pattern recognition by way of critical thinking, truth discovery, to make an accurate diagnosis of the problem. So, consciousness is pattern recognition. It's a being's ability to recognize patterns in oneself and in its environment. So we need to, if there is a problem, we want to achieve freedom. We need higher awareness. We need to take in information. We need to take in knowledge, process that knowledge, and then apply it to ourselves. So, and to make an accurate diagnosis. Diagnosis means by way of knowledge. So we can see on the image on the left, we have the torus field, which is also the F.U.N.L conference logo. So at the top, we have knowledge, taking in the knowledge. Then we have inner standing, because we process it internally. And then we output it in our behavior, and that's wisdom, knowledge applied. So this presentation, to have a accurate diagnosis, you do have to step out of your comfort zone, right? The discomfort is, all the pain points. That's how we're going to recognize issues and address them accordingly. So we say we want freedom. My topic is about freedom, and there's requirements for change. We need to take in information. So what's the information that we have to take in? I'm calling it the secret science. The information of true freedom is the most suppressed and ignored knowledge on the planet. It has been hidden from the general public of humanity for thousands of years, but has been available for those seeking the truth. This knowledge is the most empowering information one can receive because it is the ultimate solution whereby all other practical actions we can take are built upon. This knowledge entails how human consciousness corresponds to the natural world, our reality, and why the laws of nature are inseparable to human freedom. So, the secret science, it's this body of information is also known as occultism. Now, right there, that might be a trigger word for a lot of people. And a lot of people like to assign their own mentally perceived definitions to words. So that's why I'm going to define a lot of words today. Now, occultism simply means, by definition, hidden knowledge. And that knowledge is the most important knowledge. It's knowledge of self and reality, how reality operates, how our own psyche operates. This is the most important knowledge, and it's been hidden. It's been hidden by the social engineers, the predator class. This is an elite body of humans that are, it's the hidden hand that are kind of controlling society, influencing society from behind the scenes. Not the politicians and the people you see on TV. Those people are just puppets. They're there for you to see them. The people I'm talking about, they hold this knowledge and they're extremely proficient in it. They're advanced psychologists. They are creating a power differential through a knowledge differential. meaning they have control, because the majority of people do not know this information. So, we're going to lay the foundation, the fundamentals. Fundamental is origin. Origin of the mind. Mental is mind. So the basics, the foundation. So let's define freedom. The definition of freedom is power of self-determination, state of free will, emancipation from slavery, the condition of being free, the power to act or speak or think without externally imposed restraints. Breaking down the word, free is an adjective, exempt from, not in bondage, acting of one's own free will. And then dom, state of, condition, or quality. So that's pretty simple. It's a pretty simple definition. Using your free will, we have the gift of free will. We can choose our behaviors. We can choose what we think. We can choose how we feel, and we can choose our actions, right? But as soon as others control us, and they hinder and they restrain our free will, then we're talking about slavery. Slavery is the opposite of free will. The opposite of freedom. The definition of slavery: the state of servitude, being under the control of another, work done under harsh conditions. Breaking down the word, slave, it's a noun, a person who is property of another. Uri, condition of, quantity of, or place for. Slavery is a claim of ownership on your person, the product of your labor, or your possessions, in whole or in part. The product of your labor, your possessions, these are all extensions of you. If you created it, it is a part of you. You put your energy into it. So it is a part of you. Now, work done under harsh conditions. We can look at the state of the world, and there's a lot of people that are running the rat race, doing nine to fives under harsh conditions, and being violated as well. So this information that we're going to go through today, always have to apply it to yourself and to the world. So, let's talk about our true purpose. Our true purpose is sovereignty. So let's define sovereignty. Sovereign, self-control, self-mastery, not controlled by outside forces. Meaning, not a slave. That is the definition of sovereign. We are here to master being human and become our sole purpose. Each of us is here to learn and evolve in consciousness into our own unique expression of self-mastery. Your goal is to discover and activate yourself, to uplift and inspire humanity to do the same. You are not here to be enslaved, and this is not a prison planet inherently. So we incarnate in this reality. We are consciousness. At the fundamental level, it's mind, it's consciousness. And we animate our bodies, our avatars that we are using in this experience to learn certain lessons, to fulfill our soul desire, our soul path to become who we truly are meant to be, right? And by existing, we have responsibility. Responsibility is your ability to respond. You exist in this reality, and there are principles. Principles meaning first things first, the foundation. So let's go over this. Number 1, self-ownership. You have possession and control. You have possession and control the usage of your body. You are responsible for your actions. Number 2, non-aggression. You owe others one thing. Do not initiate harm. For every wrong behavior is a form of theft. Do not steal. Non-aggression. You exist, you own your body, no one else is using your body, you're using it. And non-aggression is what you owe everyone. To cause no harm, to not hinder their free will choice. Now, every wrong behavior is a form of theft. Do not steal. Because there's an infinite amount of right behaviors, right actions that you can take. But if we use a method called apophysis, the apothetic method, which is looking at the negative to get a clear understanding of the affirmative. So what are the wrongdoings? Well, we can pretty much sum them up. Murder, assault, rape, theft, coercion, trespass, and willfully lying or deception. Each one of those is a taking of another. Taking free will. Your free will, your right is a taking of a right. Your right to live, sexual interaction, your property, security in your lair, bodily harm, right? Deception, which is the taking of truth, the taking of valuable information. So we can sum all those up to one wrongdoing ultimately, and that is theft. Do not steal. And the third principle is self-defense. If violated, you have the right to stop the harm by force, by any means necessary with discernment. So force is energy. I'm using force right now to project my voice and give this presentation. This is why when you're violated, that is violence. This is where violence comes from. The term, it's a violation of your rights. So we can look at murder. Murder and killing are two separate things. The murder is the taking of life. It's theft. It's a wrongdoing. Killing, if you kill someone in self-defense, that's your right of self-defense to take. Absolutely. Every being on this planet has a defense mechanism some way or another. So self-ownership, non-aggression, self-defense, these are the principles, foundations of your ability to respond in this existence. So we talked about who and what we are. Let's talk about where we exist, this reality, the natural world. So let's do a definition of natural. It's inherent, having a basis in nature, reality, and truth. Non-man-made, of or related to creation. Creation is nature, and we are not separate from it. We are a part of it. The living, creative dynamic interacts with humans through principles of expression. These immutable and binding boundary conditions, or laws, are in place by creation to guide humans within the experience. This realm is a school, the university for beings to experience, evolve, learn, to lower entropy and apathy through self-synthesis, which is an extraction of impurities, or to simply put, to learn how to act, to learn what is right and wrong, and to learn to know the difference and to extract the impurities, to not cause harm as much as possible. So nature and her laws are objective and absolute. The natural world is the realm of the real. The quote on the bottom says, "There is no lie in nature. It has no euphemism." The natural world is here inherently, by creation, non-man-made. The laws of nature are the boundary conditions. This is the true meaning of laws. It means binding and immutable, unchanging. Now, most of us have heard about the physical laws of nature, thermodynamics, gravitation, magnetism, electromagnetism, inertia, and we know these laws. We can see their effects. You jump off a cliff, you're going to fall down. Put your hand on a stove, right? It's going to burn you. This is how we learn what not to do. Not jump off a cliff, not touch a stove, right? So we're learning through these laws, through these forces of nature. And now, everything at its base level is energy. Well, consciousness and energy, right? So we don't hear much about the metaphysical laws. And even metaphysical, that term gets a bad rap. It's like put in the woo category, right? But metaphysical is beyond physics, beyond physical. This is the energetic, the spiritual realm. These are the unseen laws. So I said that it interacts with the creative dynamic, interacts with humans through principles of expression. These principles, mentalism, correspondence, polarity, vibration, rhythm, cause and effect, and gender. These are principles that one must know deeply. And I am going to do a presentation and go very deep in this. But we're going to talk about the science of natural law. And natural law, the laws of nature, is a huge category. Obviously, if you're in opposition to the laws of nature when it comes to health, and you eat incorrectly, you take in the wrong stuff for your body, there's going to be consequences. It's cause and effect, right? We're going to look at natural law in a morality sense. Natural law is a set of universal, inherent, objective, non-man-made, eternal and immutable boundary conditions for reality, which govern the consequences of human behavior. If our actions are governed by the laws of nature, if I jump off a cliff and I fall down, right? Now, there's always a cause and effect per the laws of nature. So when it comes to human behavior, there are consequences. Natural law is a science of morality that can be directly observed in the 3D world. The evidence of the existence of natural law is the resultant state which humanity receives as a direct consequence of its aggregate behavior, collective behavior, or, in other words, the human condition itself. Natural law is a science, and we can apply this knowledge to ourselves and to the world. And just by looking at the world and observing the collective state of humanity, we can see where the individual monads, the individual units of consciousness, of people, where their mindset's at. Because we can observe their actions. So, we exist in this reality. We talked about nature, where we exist in, and the principles, our responsibility. So we have to talk about natural rights. Let's define a right. A right is any action that does not cause harm to another being. A wrongdoing is any action that does cause harm to another being. All natural rights are property rights. Your body is your property. You're in possession. You have control and usage of it. It's your property. The fruits of your labor, what you what you create, that's an extension of you, your property. So all natural rights are property rights. Understanding this is fundamental to understanding the condition of slavery. We all own ourselves and have the right to live freely and exercise our natural rights, provided actions we perform do not infringe upon another person's rights. Anyone who dares to try to stop people from living within these natural rights is making a direct claim of ownership upon others, which is the very definition of slavery. For instance, if you do not want to take a medical procedure, we can look around and see with the genetic modification, the needlecraft, the vaccinations, they're trying to force it. They're violating people, saying you have to do this, you have to do what I say. That's a direct claim of ownership onto that person. They're saying you don't own your body, I own your body, so I control the usage and I can tell you what to do with it. That's a direct claim of ownership. So, morality matters. There is a difference between right and wrong, as we talked about. Objectively, harm is harm. It doesn't matter where you live, you're on the other side of the world, what country you're from. If you cause harm, it's a wrongdoing. That is objective. Morality is objective. Human beings have the free will ability to choose their behaviors in life. This is the random dynamic of reality. Each behavior has a consequence that is either causing harm, which is immoral, or not causing harm, which is consensual, to others, which is moral. Conscience is definitive knowledge of the objective difference between right and wrong. The willful choosing of right over wrong is the exercise of conscience. We must know and understand the principles of the natural world that we exist and operate in before we can be free. So free will is the random dynamic of reality. Now, the deterministic component of reality is the laws of nature. So we have both. We have random and deterministic. And conscience, conscience, right? To know together. This is the definitive knowledge of the objective difference between right and wrong. Now, the law of freedom. Yes, there is a law of freedom. There's a natural law of freedom. And here it is. When human beings live in harmony with natural law and are therefore moral, they become and remain free. When human beings live in opposition with natural law and are therefore immoral, they become and remain enslaved. We collectively reap the result of the behavior that we collectively sow by law. And here's a formula, simple formula. As morality increases, freedom increases. As morality decreases, freedom decreases. So what we're talking about is karma. And again, people are going to just listen to the information. Don't assign your own mentally perceived definition. I'm not asking you to believe me. By all means, I'm against belief. I want you to take in this information and digest it and contemplate on it. Use introspection and then look into it deeper for yourself to discover the truth, the objective truth in nature. Now, karma is not you slap someone, then you walk out the front door and you get hit by a car. That's not how karma works. Karma is not sudden. It's accumulatively. It accumulates over large groups of human beings, the collective, the aggregate. This is what I'm talking about. And that karma that gets collected, right, that is going to give us the effect of society. So as more individuals become moral, meaning they know the difference between right and wrong objectively, and they take right action, then the society becomes free and remains free. Same thing as if individuals become immoral and they don't know the difference between right and wrong and they take wrong action, then freedom decreases and slavery remains. So let's apply this to the world. The human condition. Are human beings free? Ask yourself that one question. Are human beings free? Are we free to exercise our natural rights unrestrained? Or are we living in a perpetual state of duress, which is the threat of violence being conducted upon us if we do not comply with the commands of a ruling class? Humanity is choosing to be enslaved because the majority of people do not know the difference between right and wrong behavior. They lack the knowledge of objective morality under natural law and the care to change due to a lack of self-respect. Thus, the control and thraldom will advance per the laws of nature. So, applying this to the world, everything that's going on, do we have a ruling class, a group of people that are issuing commands, and if you do not obey them, they will violate you? Are they trying to control you on every aspect of life? Stealing your money? Putting you in a cage if there's no victim? You didn't harm anyone? Right? So yes, we are living in a state of duress. And by the social engineers, the predator class, by them doing this is a violation of free will. And that's a direct claim of ownership. So let's talk about a word that I mentioned, thraldom, which you don't hear that much. Thraldom, the state of being under the control of another person. the elimination of free will. Let's break down the word. Thrall means slave, servant, and dom, state of, condition of, the state of slavery, condition of servitude. This is the current state of the world. If you reject that or not, it doesn't matter. It's the truth. This is the state of the world. Now, it's not inherently a prison planet, but as long as our history, there's always been a ruling class. It used to be kingship. Well, we've had pharaohs, kingship, queens, right? Kings and queens had the divine right to rule from God, from Creator. Now, in the current age, we have government. So, human nature. Now, most people think, oh, well, we need government. We need a ruling class to take care of us because humans are by nature bad or evil. And that's not the case. That's a false belief system. As humans, we are a higher level of consciousness than animal, plant, and mineral kingdoms, with the capacity of higher thought functions capable of logic and reason, which give us the ability to influence and create change in our environment through our free will. Human nature is neither good or bad, but actually capable of becoming either or. We are a programmable species. Now, I want to say something about reality because we do not create our reality individually. We are co-creators. Being human beings, we have the capacity of higher order thought functions. Animals don't have this. We do have an animal and a reptilian part of the brain. The reptilian is the brain stem, which operates fight or flight or freeze. You know, these basic being instinctual attributes. We have a mammalian section of our brain that operates on survival as well, and more desire and pleasurable things, food, shelter, reproduction. But then we also have the higher order thought functions, the frontal lobe, which allows us to use logic and reason. This is what separates us from the animal, plant, and mineral kingdoms, because we have this ability. So we're able to, which puts us in a whole different category of energy and consciousness. We're in a different level of consciousness. So the laws of nature apply somewhat different to us. Now, human beings are not bad or not good or bad, but capable of being either or. So the nature of humans is that we are programmable species, meaning the knowledge you take in affects the way you perceive the world, thus dictates your behavior. So I'm going to use a computer analogy. It's a crude example, but this applies. Ages 0 through 7 are the formative years. The formatting, like formatting a computer, formatting for the operating system. A child 0 through 7 is soaking up everything around them, everything in the interactions and stuff. And this is laying the fundamentals for how the child is going to operate, the operating system. And through that operating system, it will dictate the output or the display of life, behavior. So the analogy is garbage in, garbage out, meaning if you have a bad format, meaning incorrect knowledge, then that's going to output, it's going to be garbage out. It's going to output in behavior. Same with quality in, quality out. Good knowledge in, it will reflect in behavior. So we can take this and look at morality. And this is a huge problem, the parental aspect. If you yourself do not know objective morality and natural rights and how the natural world operates, you're not going to teach that to your children. And so the cycle continues. The social engineers that, are running all the main institutions, all the institutions, they don't propagate this information correctly either. So at its foundational level, it's all incorrect. And what we get from the effect of that is we get cancer culture. This is the root of the problem. Relativism is the concept that reality is based upon our own subjective perception. Each person has their own reality and becomes the arbiter of truth. Then communication becomes impossible, and words do not have any fixed meaning. We live in our own perceived world based upon the information we believe to be true, which dictates our behavior. Therefore, right and wrong are opinions. Relativism is predicated upon separation, isolation, solipsism, and the intimacy of interconnectedness becomes a battleground of the egos. Each person is trying to make others yield to their perceived meaning of reality, and whoever has the biggest influence is in control. The social engineers and government are this influence which control every mainstream institution in society, claiming to be the arbiters of truth and the apex of creation. This false axiom is a cancer of the mind to cultivate incorrect thinking, thus wrong behavior. This is the root of the problem. An axiom is a statement that is considered self-evident. So, the theory of relativity, relativism, this is the cancer of the mind. Meaning we are separate from nature, the natural world, objective truth. And this leads to one of the biggest problems, moral relativism, the destroyer of all freedom. Moral relativism is the ideology/religion that objective morality does not exist inherently to nature, and that right and wrong are subjective constructs which human beings may create and or decide according to time, location, circumstance, and preference. There can be no true liberty in a civilization that enshrines moral relativity, said Aquinas. Now, this is the problem. Because if right and wrong are subjective, and you can create rights, this is exactly what government is. This is exactly what they are. They're the arbiters of truth, meaning they can write something down, they can delegate rights, they can do whatever they want. And the people, the majority of the people, believe this and condone this. So what that does, it creates a master class and a slave class. Government is slavery. Humans calling themselves government have the ability to control people through coercion and violence, but they erroneously claim they have the right to do so. This is the belief in human authority over other humans, which means some people are masters who have the moral right to issue commands, and others are slaves who have a moral obligation to obey the masters. The belief in human authority is a dogmatic, religious, illusory, mental concept that has been programmed and conditioned into the minds of humanity for eons. The majority of people in the world support, condone, worship this belief system, which is the supporting and condoning of slavery. Government claims that it represents the people. Represent means to act on behalf of, to recreate nature, to act on one's behalf, meaning that you don't own yourself. They are claiming ownership upon you. Human beings cannot delegate a right they do not have, meaning I can't go to my neighbor and steal from them. Right? Yeah, of course. That's crazy. No one, that sounds so insane. I can't get a whole bunch of my friends together and sit and go to my neighbor's house and steal from them. That sounds crazy, right? So why can government do that? They say the people authorize the power. Well, human beings don't have the right. How can they give it to government? They can't delegate a right they don't have. Think about it. Government, an institution of war, theft, murder, rape, and predation, the absence of which it is said would lead to disorder. Government is like the daddy mommy for the spiritual immature people. It's going to protect you from outside forces that want to do us harm. Government is the forces that are creating the violence. They are doing the harm. And this is a belief system. This is an artificial mental construct. It has no basis in truth or reality in the natural world. And this leads to what government is, right? And first of all, government is not an entity. It's fictitious. These are just human beings with a certain state of mind. A certain state of mind that they are above other people. That they can be the masters, the rulers of this world. They are playing God on earth. They're psychopathic. They have psychopathy. And government is your God. Due to the lack of self-knowledge and objective reality, the laws of nature, humanity has lost the discernment between truth and deception. Generational mind control has led to a culture of ignorance and fear, creating internal confusion, thus leading to external control. Meaning, you do not have the knowledge, you are ignorant to the knowledge of right and wrong. You're going against your very instincts that are all around us, built in nature and within ourselves. And people do not know themselves. They don't have that self-knowledge, and they are confused. So they look to external control. They look for the answers outside of themselves. The savior complex of the old religions, the cultural religions, have distorted into the new systems of belief, authority, rooted in the physical realm, egotism, relativism, atomizing, and claiming to be the arbiters of truth. This is the new religion. Obviously, it's been around for a long time. Government's been around for a little bit. But they are claiming to be the arbiters of truth. It's just like the cultural religions. If you want to commune with the Creator, if you want to have that intimate relationship, you have to go through a priest or a bishop or whomever. But they're being that median, that middleman. They're trying to be the arbiters, and this is what government's doing. Human beings that have the belief in authority. Carl Jung said, the state takes the place of God. The socialist dictatorships are religions, and state slavery is a form of worship. Carl Jung. The most dangerous religion. We can see there's sacred symbols. There's a flag. What does the flag represent? The flag represents government, the slave system. We the people, the Constitution. The Constitution is a piece of paper. Your rights, your natural rights do not come from a piece of paper called the Constitution. Now, the founding fathers, we can learn a lot from them. They were a stepping stone. They had the courage and the balls to stand up for what was right. But they were very flawed people, very flawed human beings. Some of them had some good philosophy that we can learn from. But by no means are they to be worshipped. You can learn from people and then evolve. They didn't go all the way in consciousness. They didn't fully, truly understand the laws of nature. And they thought that they could interpret their version onto a piece of paper and create government. That's the wrong way to go. So people that are putting the Constitution on a pedestal, that completely false. That's a belief system. That's part of the religion. There's the common prayer, I pledge of allegiance. There's temples, human sacrifice, which is war. People sacrificing themselves. They go to war to do the bidding of the ruling class, to do the bidding of government. Why do you think mental illness, PTSD, is so high in the people that come back from wars and stuff? Most of them know they were there as pawns, lapdogs. That's why they have a boot camp, to break you down. They have mystic rituals, voting, which voting is violence. Again, you can't delegate a right you don't have. And you can't vote, get a whole bunch of people together and vote to impose your will onto other people's will or onto other people's lives and violate their free will. And then there's worship. I'm talking about the left and the right, the Democrats, the Republicans, the Libertarians, the Green parties, anyone that identifies with politics. This is just a box for consciousness, a limiter of awareness. True or false freedom. True patriots stand for moral principles and natural rights for all. The real dissidents who love the land and the people. That is country. Country means the land and the people that live on it. They are willing to fight tyranny at all costs because it's the right thing to do. They understand objective morality and natural law. And by the way, natural law does not mean common law or law of the jungle, law of the land. Natural law is the spiritual, universal, cosmic laws of nature. The picture is the One Great Work Network, ending slavery one mind at a time. These are the real dissidents, the real freedom fighters, because these people understand moral principles and natural rights, and they're communicating this to the public. False patriots love their oppressors and uphold the belief in government, which leads to the destruction of human freedom. They do not love their country. They love their government. They love their government that is in control of the land and the people. So all you Republicans, the flag wavers, the Trumpers, thinking that he's going to come in and save the day, you're worshiping your slave master in a slave system. Same thing with Democrats and every political party in between. What do you truly stand for at its core? You stand for government, which government, the word government, gubernare, means to control, mens mentes, the mind. It's Latin. That's the root of the word. Mind control. The belief system in human authority that certain humans have the moral right to issue commands and people have to obey those commands. Following orders. I'm sure we've all heard this excuse during the last couple years. I'm just doing my job. It's the same excuse that the Nazis gave at the Nuremberg trials. Oh, I'm just following orders. Order followers, individuals who do what they are told to do by a perceived superior, without first judging for themselves whether or not the action to perform is morally right or wrong. This is an abdication of responsibility, and the individual is directly responsible for any harm caused by their actions. They are not exercising conscience. They do not know the definitive difference, the objective difference between right and wrong. So the culpability lies with the person that took the action in the physical world. That's the order follower. The order giver is just giving you the order. If I told someone, hey, go jump off that bridge, and that person did that, that person's the one that jumped off the bridge. I mean, it doesn't make me a friend or influencer, right, for saying that, but still, that person jumped off on his own free will. These order followers are using their free will and following orders. It's the abdication of responsibility. They are not taking responsibility, self-ownership, or non-aggression. The police and military, these are the grunts, the house slaves of the control system that are violating people on a daily basis, killing people, murdering people for an elite agenda. Their master class, their masters. Doctors working for big pharma. The majority of doctors, the allopathic medical field, the foundation of it is not based on the natural world. These are drug pushers for the pharmaceutical corporations. These are order followers. You have nurses, horrible order followers currently, giving the genetic modification, the vaccines to children and to people. Some of them might even know that it's harmful, and they still do it. They're directly responsible. Teachers that are enforcing these immoral mandates for masks to suffocate the children, to impose on their free will choice to breathe, their order followers as well. Immoral. So all of these people are directly responsible for the condition of slavery going on in the world. These are all the cogs, the gears in the machine that keep it going. And the average person that supports government. Now, perception management for behavior control. The current events taking place in the world are distractions, misdirection, and dialectics to polarize humanity. These events are simply to manage your perception with the illusion of change, to influence a behavior outcome or lack thereof. Remember, the universe is mental. It's all about your state of mind. Everything that we see on the TV with this socially perceived crisis, there would not be a crisis if the TV didn't say so. That's why in this beautiful piece, this artwork done by Nate Cap, phenomenal illustrator and graphic designer, here's the clown, right? With the Democrats, the liberals on the left, Republicans on the right, Fox News, CNN. This is a dialectic. A dialectic is it's a two-way path that leads to the same outcome. That's why there's Republican and Democrat, right? There's two wings of the same bird of prey. So that's why they have the narratives. They have the dialectic narratives to keep you polarized, to get you to identify with one team or another, when in reality, all of it is to control your mind, your perception, your worldview, how you view the world, so they so you will take a certain type of behavior. Perception management for behavior control. Now, the physical world is the manifested plane of effects, and no change can occur here. The mental realm is the causal plane, and all change occurs here, meaning the physical realm is the manifested realm. Energy has manifested already. There's no change. There's no change in this realm. It's like rearranging chairs on the Titanic. The Freedom Convoy, they're there. They want to change government. It's a political solution. No change there. Absolutely not. And in fact, they're being played. The social engineers are setting that up to create the problem reaction solution, because the majority of those people do not understand what true freedom is or how to achieve it. They're playing right into the dialectic for behavior control. Social engineers create a problem to get the reaction from the people, and then it will get them a solution. Government will come back in with the solution. So we'll watch how the convoy plays out. But it's there's no change there. There is no political solution. Now, the mental realm, the realm of mind, of thought, this is the causal realm. All change must occur in the mind. If it changes in the mind, then it will change your behavior. This is why I'm doing this presentation, to get the knowledge of objective morality, natural rights, and natural law to as many people as possible, so they can take it in within themselves and process it and change their behavior. Hopefully. So, mental slavery. The ultimate tyranny in a society is not control overtly with shackles and chains. It is control by the psychological manipulation of consciousness, through which reality is defined so that those who exist within it do not even realize that they are enslaved. Mental slavery gives you the illusion of freedom, makes you trust, love, and defend your oppressor, while making an enemy of those who are trying to free your mind. Again, it comes down to your worldview, how you are viewing the world. The state of the world, why we're enslaved, in thraldom, is due to incorrect thinking, which leads to incorrect behavior. And it's no surprise that we hear these terms that create an emotional reaction from people that are enslaved in the mind, like conspiracy theorists, extremists. This is mind control that they use. The definition of conspiracy is to breathe together. Completely different from what they're trying to portray people as crazy, extremist people. It's because you're under mind control. Family and friends that are trying to help their loved ones to wake up and try to bring them information, and then they get chastised and ostracized from society, which is okay because, we have to do the work internally, but society is sick. The majority of people, as we observe the collective, the aggregate, and see that we're in a state of thraldom and slavery, as above, so below. It just shows you how the average person's mind state is. And again, it's all about your state of mind. So, this is the co-creation roadmap. Where is humanity going? Now, like I said, we do not individually create our reality. We are influencers of reality. We can influence with our actions, our energy. We can influence the environment around us. We can influence other people. But we do not individually create reality. We are co-creators, meaning reality is created in the aggregate, by the aggregate, the collective of people. So, looking at our state of mind, the first one is fear. All fear is based in ignorance, the absence of love, and contraction. Fear of the unknown. This is where fear stems from. The unknown, ignorance. If you don't have the knowledge, the information of something, it's unknown to you, you will be fearful of it. You could be in a fearful state of mind. It's the absence of love. And when I use love, I'm talking about the higher form of love. This is the love for truth, morality, the divine love. This is agape. It's not love for, like, I love my daughter, or you love your significant other or your family. That's philos. I'm talking about creation, truth. And then it's contraction. Because when you're in fear, your consciousness, your awareness contracts, gets smaller. Field of view, it closes up. So fear leads to cowardice. And cowardice is rooted in obedience, conformity, and inaction. This is why so many people are wearing masks and complying to the dictates of the masters, because they're in a state of fear and cowards. That's why they're obedient and conformists and inactive. And ultimately, that would lead to slavery. That leads to slavery, which slavery is stagnation, involution, and chaos. Involution is the opposite of evolution. We are degrading as a species. And we're stagnant. When energy is stagnant, that's when death occurs. That's when involution occurs. And going back to fear, the primal fear is the fear of death. And I just want to say this, especially in culture, right? Culture to cultivate. They have everyone afraid of death, when death is just a process. It's not the end. What makes you think you are that which dies? There's a difference between death and dead. Death is the end of a cycle and then a transition to life. Being dead means stagnation of consciousness. Being dead. That's why the social engineers, they call the majority of people the dead, the walking dead. So now let's go to love. And again, this is the love for truth, the love for morality. This is agape, divine love. And that's rooted in knowledge, the absence of fear, and expansion of consciousness, expansion of awareness and possibility. And love, this leads to responsibility. Your ability to respond, courage, diversity, right action, which leads to freedom, creation, evolution, order. We can look at this as fear, cowardice, slavery. This is being in opposition to the laws of nature, being in opposition to nature and creation. Love, responsibility, and freedom, it's being in harmony with nature, that which is truth. So, no masters and no slaves. Freedom is the effect. The causal factor is individuals releasing themselves from mental slavery of the belief in a master class, and then have the courage to step up and change the condition. This is everyone's moral and human obligation. The state of freedom is humanity's natural state of being. The will of creation is freedom, and the laws of nature, natural law, are in place as a guiding force for the benefit of our evolution, if we choose. Now, freedom is an effect. It's an effect of human beings becoming moral, and moral in their actions. That's the cause. The effect is achieving freedom. Now, once you come into inner standing of this type of information, then you do have a moral obligation. Everyone has a moral obligation to be a good human and to act right and morally in the world. This is why we have to propagate this information and get it out to more minds. We need more minds to take in this knowledge and apply it to themselves to change their behavior if we want any kind of change in the world to occur and to achieve freedom. And natural law is the guiding force. It's not constraints. This is what the social engineers think it is. They see natural law, the laws of nature, as constricting. They want to do whatever they want. They want to be God on this planet. But they are less morally culpable, meaning they're not really taking on the brunt of the karma. The society is, because the society is actually taking the actions. The social engineers are just the order givers. They're influencers. They influence by using mind control to get us to take the action. So, if we choose, we have a choice here. We have free will. Now, the title, No Masters and No Slaves, this is a definition of a word. I didn't do a card of it, but it's a trigger word. One of the biggest trigger words for people. No masters, no slaves is an actual definition of the word anarchy. An, meaning without, and archon, meaning ruler. Without rulers. That's the exact definition of anarchy. I am an anarchist. I'm a spiritual anarchist. I believe in no masters, no slaves. I believe in free will in alignment with natural law. I harm none, and I defend freedom at all costs. And I do not condone or support the belief in authority or anyone else that believes in authority, because I do not condone violence or slavery. So the state of no masters and no slaves, what is that the state of? The state of freedom. Anarchy is freedom. Freedom is anarchy. Now, the majority of people have been mind controlled. That's why the news, that whenever there's actual chaos going on, they go, oh, it's anarchy, because they don't want you to understand the meaning, the value, the energy, the vibration of words and what they truly mean. The universe is spoken into existence. We use the energy and the vibration to create change and influence. The fear of true freedom. True freedom is uncharted territory. Hence, it is frightening to most people. Most people fear true freedom because true freedom implies and carries with it total personal responsibility, which most human beings do not want. and which they will attempt to avoid at all costs. People are very fearful of the types of sacrifice that may be necessary to gain real freedom. This fear comes from a lack of self-respect and self-love, because gaining freedom requires change within oneself. The fear of true freedom. What's all fear rooted in? Ignorance, lack of knowledge. Now, it's common when I express this information and try to communicate to people, when we're talking about a state of true freedom with no masters, no slaves, no government. The common question is, oh, what about the roads? They always want to know, well, is it going to be chaos? There's violent people, there's gangs. Humans can't survive without government. That's like saying, how's the cotton going to get picked without slavery? Or will the farm animals survive without the fences? A true society that lives in true freedom, it's based on voluntary interaction and moral principles, understanding self-ownership, non-aggression, and self-defense. So embracing the chaos, that's twofold. Embracing the chaos within yourself, the contradictions, the belief systems that you erroneously hold. You need to, because this fear is from a lack of self-respect. Respect means to look at oneself again. We need to look in the mirror and ask ourselves, why do we believe the things we believe? Why do we support and condone the belief in authority, in human authority? I mean, the ultimate authority is nature, the laws of nature, that is authority. But I'm talking about human authority, humans ruling other humans. And we need self-love. We say we want freedom, but do we really want freedom? Life force of care. What are you giving your energy to? What do you truly care about? Do you truly care about freedom? Natural rights? Care is the generative principle, the generating life force, your energy that is the driving force behind actions. When the mind and the heart are in alignment and not in contradiction, this is unity consciousness. Think, feel, act. Mind, heart, guts. As I think, so I feel, and so I act. That is unity consciousness. So what are we putting our time and attention to? This is the real spiritual currency. Energy. G as in chi. Life force. It's in the heart. It pumps the blood. The life force is in the blood. It's the energy. It's what we focus on a daily basis. Something to look in the mirror and think about. Once we come into unity consciousness and we don't have contradiction, meaning you think one way and you feel another, and then your behavior is immoral. Like an order follower, right? Knowing that the vaccines are harmful. And feeling you shouldn't inject it and violate people or use deception and tell them it's safe, but yet you do it anyways. There's a contradiction. So once we step into unity consciousness, align our thoughts, emotions, and actions, we can say the lost word. Through the knowledge of natural law, you are able to say the lost word, which is no. Only when we say no to those who claim to be our owners do we stop externalizing our power, and in doing so, reclaim all of our rights. Humanity requires the development and application of knowledge, care, and courage. Stop externalizing our power, giving our power away to these people, the belief in authority, to government. The power lies within inside of us to be responsible for ourselves, for self-governance. The application of knowledge, care, and courage. You have to know to say no. Cowardice is a trend. Courage is a tradition. What we sacrifice today will fall tenfold on our children and grandchildren. What efforts have you given towards freedom? Actions actualize, and the effects will no doubt ripple through generations to come. If you are standing by with idle hands, then know this: you are currently on the wrong side of history. What are you putting your attention to? What are you sacrificing? I'm sacrificing my time, my attention to make presentations, to try to create outreach and education, to create change towards freedom. Most people are doing the opposite. They're supporting and condoning slavery and sacrificing their children to the god of government, the false god of government and its institutions, to sacrificing their children to the false god of authority. Oh, that doctor, he's the authority. I'm going to do what he says, without taking the responsibility to looking into something and gathering the knowledge and then making a decision. Like injecting your children with genetic modification, poisonous chemicals, putting masks on your children. Actions actualize. What we do, the actions that we take have the effect. He who is not angry when there is just cause for anger is immoral. Why? Because anger looks to the good of justice. And if you can live amid injustice without anger, you are immoral as well as unjust. Quote by St. Thomas Aquinas. Very powerful and extremely true. First, you have to get angry. You need to have an accurate perception of the state of the world. And it should piss you off. All the injustice is going on. The violence, the violation. And know that, yes, there is the social engineers. There is in the elite class, right? The master class. But they get replaced all the time. They die off, and then you know their kids step in line. It's a bloodline tradition. The real enemy is the general public that are willfully ignoring this information by not listening to friends and family that are trying to bring this information to them, because they're condoning the belief in authority, which is slavery, condoning violence and slavery. That's the enemy. But we need them to change in mind. And the price of freedom is eternal vigilance, sacrifice, blood, sweat, and tears, and possibly life. We need to be prepared for all outcomes. I call myself the prepper propagator, meaning I'm a prepper. I prepare for all situations, prepare for the worst. So I have 50 weapons. All types of weapons. Battle axes, guns, nunchucks, you name it. Why do I need 50? So I can hand out 49. But the change needs to happen in the mind. So I'm a propagator of natural law, objective morality, natural rights. So hopefully more people can take in this information and change their behavior. Rudolf Steiner, an amazing spiritual teacher. This is a quote from his phenomenal book, The Philosophy of Freedom. Our highest endeavor must be to develop free human beings who are able of themselves to impart purpose and direction to their lives. The need for imagination, a sense of truth, and a feeling of responsibility. These three forces are the very nerve of education. I love it. As a parent, and I'm saying this to parents, you have the duty to be a good parent, to be a facilitator for a being that is growing. You need to understand how to truly act in the world morally. We need to teach our children what true freedom is, natural rights. Now, the social engineers, they are using mind control and dulling down and dimming the imagination is one of their goals. This is just an effect of mind control of someone that has incorrect thinking. Because if you can't see it, you can't achieve it. Imagination, the imagination. This is our ability to imagine and see a goal and set in motion. That's our intention, to set in motion and actualize through our actions. And that's a lot of people, they don't know what freedom is. They can't imagine it. They can't imagine true freedom. And then a sense of truth, of objective truth. Objective truth exists. It exists in nature. And the feeling of responsibility with principles, teaching our children principles. First things first. Ignorance is the Achilles heel of humanity. Without self-knowledge, without understanding the working and functions of our machine, humans cannot be free, cannot govern ourselves, and we will always remain a slave. We will not be free until the secret science of freedom is common sense knowledge. Frederick Douglass said, knowledge makes a man unfit to be a slave. The Achilles heel. Achilles heel. This is Greek mythology. A seemingly small but critical weakness in an otherwise strong position. meaning the power is within the people. The social engineers, the ruling class, they fear human beings waking up to this information. Once we start stepping into our own empowerment, we strip them of control. So, a seemingly small but critical weakness in an otherwise strong position, the strong position is humanity itself. But the critical weakness is ignorance, lack of knowledge, lack of occultism, hidden knowledge, the secret science of true freedom. There is only one true divide. One who knows authority or government is illegitimate because they are based upon coercion, violence, and slavery, which are eternally immoral and in opposition to natural law. One advocates free will choice in alignment with natural rights under the laws of creation, freedom. And the other, one who believes in authority invested in human beings, which magically gives them government, the moral right to rule over other people and condone violence unto the disobedient, advocates the legitimacy of slavery. There's only one true divide in the world. It comes down to freedom or slavery. You either understand, you know and understand and act morally, or you don't. It's not about left or right. It's not about vaccinated or unvaccinated. It's about freedom or slavery. That's what it comes down to. That's the one true divide. We do not need leaders in this endeavor. For leaders create followers. What we need is inspiration. By creating art, we can inspire minds to lead themselves out of the darkness of ignorance and into the light of knowledge and action. We need artists to create art so that they can lead themselves out of darkness. The internal work of knowing oneself will activate the creative essence, which is creativity, to become a unique content creator, to influence minds and spark imaginations towards truth, love, and freedom. Empowerment is the one great work. The one great work, the hardest work you can do in this planet, and it's what we are here for. If you incarnated in this time period, you have a goal, and that is to achieve your true purpose and to help humanity achieve freedom. So as you know yourself, you discover yourself and your purpose, you can use these attributes and these qualities, whatever they may be. Everyone has different, we all have the same natural rights, but we're all different in our attributes and qualities and talents. Then using those attributes to create content, to create art with the message of objective morality, natural law, and true freedom. It could be a painting, it could be music, a presentation, a podcast, it can be anything. Art inspires the mind and the heart. That's what we need. We need inspiration, not leaders. Leaders take you on their own path where people get stuck. You need to find your path and walk it. That's empowerment. That's the one great work. Art is the wisdom to know and the skill to do. The meaning of life is to achieve true freedom. By discovering our sole purpose and by expressing it out into the world, thus contributing to the uplift and the evolutionary growth of humanity and the planet. Through knowledge, understanding, and right action, in accordance to the laws of creation, is the key to unlock the doors of our enslavement and achieve humanity's purpose of true freedom. Because life is meaningless if you are enslaved. To evolve, you must get involved to create freedom under natural law. Ladies and gentlemen, that's my presentation. Thank you for your time and attention. I hope you found valuable insight and you take this presentation and contemplate on it. Think about it deeply. Look into the mirror. Ask those questions. And contact me. Go to my website, naturalfreedomleague.com. Reach out to me if you feel the need. I'm more than happy to discuss any of this information in depth. Again, this was a very simplified presentation. So hopefully it was some good insight. And definitely, if you need to contact me, I can talk about getting involved. Please go to the onegreatworknetwork.com. There's a vast amount of work on there from a huge variety of content creators that are expressing themselves in their own unique creative expression with the message of freedom and natural law and objective morality. So again, thank you for your time and attention. I appreciate you very much. And seek truth and speak truth. Enjoy the F.U.N.L conference. Thank you.